first and foremost, let's focus on this beautiful kitten who was asleep until I started recording, and then she woke up. Isn't she cute? Look at that cat. What a sweetie. She's purring. Anyway, enough with the cat. So I spent my night with Mira Nair. During one of the last Criterion sales, I bought Monsoon Wedding from Criterion. I think it was the Barnes & Noble one, actually. Because it came with these 7 short films. So I got 8 films for the price of 1. I thought that was fabulous, and it was 50% off. That's a bargain. So the films are 3 documentaries. One called So Far from India, which is about an hour long, and it was her first documentary she made, I believe, and it's about a man who lives in New York who has left his wife and child in India to build a life in New York for them, but is unsure, like, if he really wants to send for them until he goes to India, and then the film follows him to India where he reunites with his family and realizes, yeah, it is worth the extra $500 to bring them over. And it's sort of a beautiful portrait of what America can mean for immigrants and what marriage can mean and what family can mean. It's kind of a beautiful documentary. The next one was a very saucy piece of feminist cinema called India Cabaret, and it was about women who work in the cabarets in India. It's basically like the strip clubs of India. And it sort of looks at how they see themselves, how they're seen in society, and how these like perfectly respectable, let's put quotes on that, men who frequent them sort of see their wives as the Madonnas and the cabaret dancers as the whore, and they don't see their own sort of role in it as bad or good or anything. It's just like these are objects to look at. It's fascinating, and the women that she interviews are really great and talk about how they don't care how they're being judged because they know that they are earning their own keep and they aren't someone's wife, mother, daughter, property, and they are earning their own way through life. And it was, and there's no shame in what they do, and so they are able to do it because they feel no shame, and it was kind of wonderful. The next one was called The Laughing Club of India, and it's about laughing clubs in India, and they're now spread all over the place, but it was sort of like people who come together and laugh for 40 minutes, varying different kinds of laughs, in order to feel their way through grief and other things, because laughter, as they say, is the best medicine, and laughter is contagious, and so you get together with people and laugh, and everything's wonderful. And it was sort of about the creation of the clubs and how they spread throughout India and the world. Then there was a bunch of shorts. One was called The Day the Mercedes Became a Hat, and it's set after the assassination of the head of the Communist Party in South Africa, where she was living at the time. And it's about a white family fleeing. The next one was, I don't know enough about South African history to really understand the significance of that film, to be honest. The next one was called, it was a segment from 11/09/01, September 11, where it was, I think it was 11 short films that were 9 minutes and 1 second long, set in the wake of 9/11. And Mira Nair's is about the true story about a man who went missing, and his mother's search for him, only to discover at first that people are painting him as a terrorist, and then discovering that he was actually a hero who gave his life as a police cadet to save lives during it. But it has this really, really bittersweet end card where it talks about how he was seen as a hero and got a special recognition from the government, and then how, like, a few months later, the government started fingerprinting all Muslim men who were in the country. And it was just like, there you go. The next one was from a group of films made in India on the AIDS epidemic. And this one was called Migration. And it was essentially like, here's 4 stories of ordinary people who contracted AIDS because they did not use condoms. And it was sort of basically like they're dispelling the myths of how you can get AIDS and who can get AIDS and how the best way to protect yourself is to use a condom while having sex. No matter why you're having sex or who you're having sex with, condoms are good. That was sort of the plot of this one. It had Ifram Khan in it, and he's hot, so that was always fun. And then the last one was called How Can It Be? And it was from a film called 8 that was made 8 short films from 8 different directors about the 8 Millennium Goals, I believe. And this was about female equality, and essentially it's about a woman who has decided to leave her husband and her son to become the second wife of another man because she's in love with him. And it's basically, it was inspired by someone Mira Nair knew who, or kind of a little bit about this woman that she knew who left her family to move to England, but also how this sort of misunderstanding of what the hijab means to women and whether it is an expression of freedom or if it's stifling, and essentially she's on it's up to the woman, which it should be up to the woman, what it means to them and not what society tries to tell her it means. And so that was what that one was about, and it was sort of heartbreaking. It was like 6 minutes long. In each film had a very different tone, which I think is interesting when you see so many films from a director and she's able to elicit emotions from various different ways of storytelling. I think that's fascinating. I really enjoy her films. I'm missing a few of her features still, but she's definitely a director. I think I have like maybe 3 of her features left to watch, or 4, that I won't get them in at the end of this year, but I will try to get them in next year. She's definitely a filmmaker I really enjoy. I also found, and I shared it on my Facebook page, if you like my Facebook page, cinemafanatic.com, I shared some lists I found about feminist documentaries from India, from female filmmakers. I'm going to try to watch a bunch of those if I can, because they all look fascinating. Now we're going to look at this cat one more time, who has really fallen asleep. Look at this. Look at this kitty. Oh, you're supposed to be asleep. She was asleep. Anyways, cats and Mira Nair. That's a good night, I think. Hopefully you have a good night as well.